Today we're going to unpack a central topic in yoga, the 8 limbs. So get settled in and let's take a high-level view of this topic. The 8 limbs of yoga are commonly considered a central focus in the yoga practice. And within them, they contain these codes of conduct for living a yogic lifestyle, as well as this really systematic approach to achieving enlightenment, which is why there's such a big focus. That enlightenment step is called samadhi, or commonly the highest state of consciousness. So the 8 limbs in order are the yamas, which are your relationships with the external world and your disciplines. The niyamas are personal observances and how you treat yourself. From there, we go into asana, which is mostly what people are familiar with. It's postures. Then it's pranayama, which translates to energy work or working with your vital energy. Pratyahara is after that, which means withdrawing from your senses. Then dharana, which is focus or concentration. Then dhyana, which means meditation. And then finally, samadhi. So each limb is also considered a rung or a step. The rungs are never achieved and simply discarded at any point. All the rungs are independent, they could stand alone. They're sequential, they lead to another, and they're constant. Each limb is a progression. It leads from the most external and gross practice to these internal and subtle practices, ultimately leading you to the finest aspects of your being. The 8 limbs of yoga were first identified in the Yoga Sutras. The Yoga Sutras is undeniably the most pivotal and important text in yoga. And there's a lot of discussion about who did what in yoga, but undeniably, the Yoga Sutras are key. Even though the 8 limbs are commonly the central focus in yoga for most of us, they're actually cited at kind of this weird halfway point in the Yoga Sutras. So the sutras quickly are, it's a collection of 4 chapters, effectively, written by a person or persons named Patanjali. There's 196 verses in 4 chapters. The 8 limbs are kind of smack in the middle. Like I said a bit ago, they're book 2, verse 29, and then it unpacks all of it. That really kind of begs the question, if these are such a central focus in yoga, why are they kind of like somewhere in the middle of the text? Wouldn't it make more sense to have them as the beginning, as you open, or maybe as this like grand conclusion at the end? Well, within the first book of the Yoga Sutras, the first chapter, Patanjali, who's the author, explains kind of the why of to do yoga. He laid out the details of how to do this science that we all practice. And he did that for people that are kind of like fully prepared to achieve enlightenment. All they needed is some sort of direction. The key point in chapter 1 was how to understand and control your mind, exercising what's considered complete self-control. People like that are extremely rare. And most of us regular people, we can't just become enlightened because we are pointed in the right direction. We need some sort of systematic practice. So that's why the 8 limbs are in chapter 2. Because chapter 2 is all about how to do yoga. It's the practice of doing yoga, which is what gives chapter 2 the name sadhana, which means spiritual practice or routine practice. With any sort of spiritual practice, there are no shortcuts. And it's the dedication to the spiritual work which prepares you for the outcome, not the other way around. Your practice has to be disciplined. It has to be steady, and it has to be sustained for a long time. And as your spiritual practice deepens, you become more and more capable to harness this energy, this deep energy within you. And you're able to direct capabilities that you activate along the way. You see, the 8 limbs are so crucial because they're a step-by-step approach to awakening this dormant power within you. And as you awaken that power, you learn to guide it, to move it through you, and unite it with your highest calling. The yogi that I like to learn from the most has this quote and says, "You have all of the power within you to enlighten yourself. If you want to understand and you want to systematically practice all of the steps, you will definitely progress in spiritual enlightenment." So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the program.